talk about is the non-planned expenditure. So we'll talk now because we spoke about planned expenditure. So yes, and for state plans also the government has to spend a lot of money, and make sure, understand this, that these expenditures, let me write it down, these expenditures are covered under central 5-year plans. Okay, now let's talk about non-planned. So these expenditures, let's see this, these expenditures does not relate to 5-year plans, relate to 5-year plans. Okay, and what kind of expenditures are this? Interest, payments, subsidies, because the discounted price is a big burden for the companies and for the governments. Subsidies, they spend on defense, salaries, government salaries, and pensions, etc. So basically, with the demise of Planning Commission, the central government has decided, to do away with the classification of planned and non-planned expenditure. So in 2018 and 19, there's a very unique feature because it will not contain this division of classification. Okay, so that is what you have to remember, that in 2019 the government has completely changed the Planning Commission, and there will not be any division of revenue expenditure of planned and non-planned. It will be together, and this new concept has started from 2018 and 19. Now let's talk about is capital account. Okay, yes, so let us talk about capital account. Okay, so the capital budget is an account of assets as well as liabilities of the central government. Okay, so capital receipts. Now what are capital receipts? So you have to remember this. Okay, so on those receipts of the government which either creates liability or reduces financial assets are called as capital receipts. Okay, so examples are like market borrowings by the government, from the public borrowings from the RBI, borrowings from the commercial banks or financial institutions to the sale of any bills, loans received from foreign governments or international financial institutions like post office savings certificates, and public sector units disinvestment. So when private sectors are also buying a little bit share of the public sector, so there also the capital account is being calculated. Okay, now let us talk about is how the company, so this is the way the capital revenue is generated for the government. Let's now talk about capital expenditure. So let me just wrap this. Okay, so now capital so all those expenditures of the government which either result in the creation of physical or financial assets or reduction in financial liabilities. Okay, so example, if the government purchases land, machinery, building and equipments, investment in shares, loans and advances by the central governments to the state governments, and capital expenditure can also be classified as planned and non-planned capital expenditure. So planned expenditure relates to the central 5-year plan, and non-planned relates to the expenditure which is not covered under the 5-year plan. Same thing like the previous one. Okay, so in nutshell, if I say that revenue expenditure neither creates any assets nor reduces any liability for the government. Okay, and the revenue deficit happens only when the revenue receipts fall short, okay, of revenue expenditure. Same way I can say about capital expenditure, either it neither creates assets or reduces liability. So the fiscal deficit is the difference between the government's total expenditure, so that is both revenue and capital, and its total receipts when taken as a borrowing. Okay, so that is also very important. And here also in capital receipts also I can say that it either creates liabilities or it reduces assets. Okay, so I'll give you the formulas of both the things. So let me first write about RD. So that is revenue expenditure. So revenue expenditure minus revenue receipts. Okay, same way FD, that is, as I said, capital expenditure. Okay, so that is FD is equal to total, or sometimes it is also called as fiscal deficit. So fiscal deficit is equal to total expenditure minus revenue receipts, okay, plus non-debt creating capital receipt. So this is just for your understanding. I gave you the formula so that you understand. So let me explain. So revenue expenditure neither creates any assets nor reduces any liability for the government. What about capital expenditure? It either creates assets or reduces liabilities. Followed with capital receipts, it either creates liabilities, okay, or reduces assets. So capital expenditure is the opposite of capital receipts. Okay, now how do we measure the the government deficits? How it is being measured? So when a government spends more than it collects by ways of revenues, so revenues is not more, but they are spending more, so obviously there is a deficit. Okay, so now let us understand the concept through the example of Robinson Crusoe also. If you can see that the deficit is basically just because the revenue is coming less and the spendings are happening more. Okay, so the government, when it incurs revenue deficit, it implies that the government is not able to cover its day-to-day expenses from its current receipts, and that is the shortage. Okay, and that is why as I said that government, this is what is called as the deficit. Okay, so first we will talk about is the fiscal deficit. Okay, so first we will talk about is fiscal deficit. Okay, so it is the difference between the government's total expenditure, both revenue and capital, and its total receipts, but here you have to exclude borrowing. So excluding borrowings. Okay, so that is what it is. Now example is, say I'll give you example of this is disinvestment. So what is disinvestment? When public sector is not being able to function and it sells little bit of its share to the private investors. Okay, so public or so disinvestment from PSU units. Okay, then also recovery of loans. So that's a great loss for the public sector government, because they are selling it in to the private sectors. Okay, so then recovery of loans by the central government. So this is all the examples of fiscal deficit. Okay, let's talk about the second one, that is primary deficit. Okay, so here it is, the primary deficit is like basically the borrowing requirement of the government includes interest. So obligations of accumulated debt is also that the requirement is that the government has to also pay the interest. So the goal of measuring the primary deficit is to focus on the present fiscal imbalances. Okay, so to obtain an estimation of borrowings or account, we have to calculate what is the primary deficit. Okay, so it is simply the fiscal. So what is it? It is simply fiscal deficit minus the interest payments. Okay, yes. So and let me just write about you one more definition you need to know in your exams, which, because all you will not come, the only the things which are very very important in economics, which is a very important topic. So that is why, because we will cover up the entire syllabus of your UPSC. So that is why. So let's come to the next one under the primary deficit only, that is gross primary deficit. Okay, so deficit is here is gross is equal to gross fiscal deficit minus net interest liabilities. Okay, so this is very important. Now let's talk about the capital account. As a capital budget is an account of assets as well as as liabilities of the central government. So let me write down here. Now let us talk about capital account. Okay, so capital account. So here first we have to know what is a capital budget. So capital budget is an account of assets as well as liabilities of the central government. Okay, now capital receipts are all those receipts of the government which creates liability or reduces the financial assets are capital receipts. So let us understand first what is capital receipts. Okay, so all those receipts of the government which either creates liability or reduces, it reduces the financial asset. So assets are not there, it is getting reduced, are capital receipts. Okay, so example is like market borrowings by the government from the public, borrowings from the RBI, already told you. And capital expenditure are all those expenditures of the government which result in the creation of physical, financial assets and all that. Okay, so this is very very important as a point of view also. Now we will talk about is the budget procedure in India. So now, when we have to create a budget, India does is, there is a two types of budget which India does, that is balanced budget and imbalanced budget. So that is very important, okay, because all this, what we need to know about this chapter is how India treats its budget. So that is very important. And now I will just erase this and we will get back to this. As I said, so now we should see that how there are types of budget in India. So types of budgets in India. Okay, so first is a balanced budget and the second one is unbalanced budget. Okay, now balanced budget is a situation in which estimated revenue of the government during the year is equal to its expenditure. So that is called balance. So revenue is equal to expenditure. And what is unbalanced? The budget in which income and expenditure are not equal to each other, that is called as unbalanced. So the government's estimated year is revenue is equal to government's proposed expenditure. So when does the government go as a balance budget? Only when the government's proposed expenditure, government already knows that this much is my expenditure and this much only I will spend, then only the government can go and get a balanced budget. But when is unbalanced budget? Now unbalanced budget is of two types. One is surplus and deficit. Now let us understand the two concepts. Now surplus budget is when the estimated revenues of the year are greater than the expenditures. Okay, so the surplus means it's very high, so the revenues are higher than the anticipated budgets. Okay, so the government is expending revenue greater than the government's proposed expenditure. So that time also it is a very good news, it is unbalanced budget. And obviously the opposite, when the surplus budget shows the financial soundness of the government, that it is very good and the government is doing very good, so it's a good thing. The second one is deficit budget, is one where the estimated government is the expenditure is more than the revenue, so the revenue is less, and this is what is happening in current Pakistan also. So generally this is not so the government is like generally taking a lot of public borrowings, and so that is why the reserve is not happening and there is lot of deficiency also. So in developing countries like India also, where huge resources are needed for the purpose of economic growth and development, you will obviously see deficit budget. So in underdeveloped countries the deficit budget is much higher. Okay, and there must be a planned economy and planned development. So but whereas in the other advanced countries there is always an advanced budget, because they are always planning. Yes, so they are planned, the financial aspects are also planned, and development is also happening very well. So growth and development both are balanced, and that is why they have been able to control the economic fluctuations. I had told you before also that the government should be a hawk, it should watch the economic fluctuations of the market up and down, and it should stabilize. Yes, so it is used as a stability tool to control business and economic fluctuations, and that is why we study this balanced and unbalanced budget. Okay, now let's talk about the next concept, that is the last one we will talk about, is zero. Yes, so zero based budgeting. Okay, so in this all expenses are evaluated each time a budget is made and expenses must be justified for each new period. So zero budgeting starts from the zero base, and every function of the government is analyzed for its needs and cost, and then budgets are then made based on the needs. So based on the needs only the budgeting is done, and that is why it is zero based, because all the expenses are evaluated. Okay, the next one is traditional. So traditional budgeting is basically, it calls for when, there is like, when we see the previous budgets and when we, tally it or we try to compare. So we see that incremental increases. So we like, slowly increase the budget to 2% in increase in spending. So that is called as slowly we increase in the spending. So this is called as traditional. So traditional budgeting is calls for incremental increase over the previous budgets, like say for example 2%, 3% increase. So traditional budgeting analysis is also a very new, like only new expenditures are being calculated, not the old expenditures. So it also is justifying, like, why we had spent last year this much, and and for this reason we have to spend some more money, and that is why traditional expenditure also, or budgeting always justifies and presents the data of the last year to see that, and compare that, why we spend so much of money, and that is why we need more money for this year. Okay, now the outcome of the budget, if you see, it was first introduced in 2005. Okay, and it was called as outcome budget. Okay, so it's a project which is a scheme which will be comprising of the ministries, central ministries, department and organization. They will have an annual report on the budgeting. Okay, so that is why this outcome budgeting is very, very important. The next type of budgeting is called as gender budgeting. Okay, so gender budgeting is a very powerful tool for achieving gender mainstream, to ensure that there is the equal benefits for men and women. So it is an accounting exercise, and it's an ongoing process, and the government will also establish based on the budgeting of how much the men require, how much the women require. Okay, so it's a gender budget initiative, you can say. Okay, and the impact of the government budgets also will also focus on more of women, because if you see in India, the women empowerment is going on. Okay, so this way the government will budget all its way, like gender budgeting, zero based budgeting, traditional budgeting, and also, as I said, these are all new concepts which the government is experimenting, and yes, we are doing our work and we are becoming successful in this. So outcome budget also, as I said, it's a new thing, and it analyzes the progress of each ministry, okay, and each department. That is why it is called as outcome budget. So each and every ministry has been seen, and it is like continuously watched to see the progress and the outcome. Okay, so each ministry and department and the respected ministry has done, and how much has his budget, how much is he doing. So each department, section wise, if you see, then you will understand what and where we are making the mistake. So yes, all these budgets are very much used in our country. Okay, so I'll see you in the next class with a new chapter, and we will also see the questions which are very, very relevant for this chapter of budgeting. Thank you so much.